If you have been watching this video closely, you might have been able to guess what my self-discipline secret is. And it's probably a more important secret than the last video I made about this topic. So my second secret to developing razor-like self-discipline is I'm sitting on my bed after a long day at work. I'm stressed, my head hurts, my feet hurt, and I'm really tired. I'm debating whether or not to go to the gym. I would way rather just chill on my couch, eat some food, and just rest up for tomorrow. As I'm sitting there contemplating this, I get a text from someone who invited me over to hang out with him and his friends. Yes, another amazing reason not to work out in the gym. In my mind, the universe was telling me to take it easy and to skip the workout. So I put on my jeans and I drove over. I came to the house and my friend introduced me to everybody there. Everyone was really nice, but I found myself spending most of the night talking with a guy named Mike. Mike was a smart, athletic, ambitious guy who had a lot of unique ideas. But there was one thing about Mike that really stood out, and that was the fact that he was in a wheelchair. We started talking and I mentioned to him that I had played basketball in high school, which got us talking about our athletic backgrounds. He told me that he used to play football in high school and that he was also very passionate about powerlifting at that time, and he even had aspirations of becoming a professional powerlifter. As we became more comfortable around one another, we eventually got to the topic of him being in a wheelchair. And he told me what had happened to him, and it was honestly pretty tragic. He was driving in his car like anyone would, and he was simply going through a green light. And out of nowhere, a car ran a red light and smashed into the driver's side seat of his car. And after that day, he could never walk again. As he kept talking about fitness, I could see in his eyes just how much he really missed working out. But the remarkable thing about Mike was that he didn't really seem sad, or he didn't feel sorry for himself. He said that after his accident, he actually started to show appreciation for the things that he did have in his life, and how he took the simple things in his life, like being able to run and walk, for granted. He told me how supportive his friends were, how caring his family was, and he told me that he is happy that he didn't suffer any sort of brain damage, which is not uncommon for having a severe accident like he did. I looked at my watch and it was 10 p.m., which meant it was time to go home. When I was driving home reflecting on the discussion, I started to think about my stupid excuses for not working out. I spent most of the night talking to this guy in a wheelchair who would probably give up all of his money, all of his material things to simply have the opportunity to work out again. And I'm choosing not to because I'm a little tired. When I got home, I decided to do some research, and it turns out 10% of the world's population lives with a disability, which comes to about 650 million people. So there are 650 million people on Earth who would probably give up a lot to simply have the same opportunities as a healthy person like you or me. And we are over here saying that we can't go to the gym because we are a little tired or we're a little too busy or stressed. There are many things in life that people take for granted. Even you being able to watch this YouTube video is a privilege, not because it's my content, but because you simply have access to the internet, which is something that a lot of people don't have. According to the United Nations, more than 4 billion people on Earth don't have access to the internet. That's over half the world's population. They would probably give up a lot just to have the opportunity to use a computer, to use a smartphone, or to even gain access to a modern library. Most of us have this grand vision that we'll one day look amazing with six-pack abs, we will be millionaires and travel around the world with our beautiful partner, and we are just living our incredible life. But the reality is that a lot of us don't have the self-discipline to achieve these kinds of results. We tell ourselves that we're tired, we don't have time, we don't have access to the right resources, and so on and so on. So, how do we develop the self-discipline to make our dreams come true? If you have been watching this video closely, you might have been able to guess what my self-discipline secret is. And it's probably a more important secret than the last video I made about this topic. So my second secret to developing razor-like self-discipline is having the ability to appreciate and understand just how lucky we are to even have the opportunity to pursue things like creating your own business or to have a functional, healthy body that allows you to work out the way you want to. When I internalized this idea, I became incredibly self-disciplined and motivated. I do want to be very clear about one thing though. I'm not saying you are a bad person for not working out or you're lazy and stupid for not starting your own business. It's your own life and you shouldn't let people tell you how to live your life. But I'm just saying, personally, when I take a step back and I realize how many less fortunate people there are in this world who would probably give up a lot just to have the same opportunities as me, it makes a lot of my excuses just fade away. And I'm left with self-discipline and a really strong work ethic. If you haven't seen my last video on self-discipline, I highly recommend you go and watch it. It's just as important as this video. You can click the description or click the card above. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.